Hello everyone, welcome to the first chess opening real Lopez Berlin. So we start with e4, e5, knight f3 and knight c6. This is very common, right? Then bishop b5, then the knight out, no castle with white. So we see here gonna be the set. Black can capture the free pawn, but then white will use the advantage to develop the rook, and actually you can see here is that the white knight can capture back the pawn, and the black knight can capture back the knight. So we can see the bishop already withdraw, and then the black bishop attack the rook. The rook has to withdraw back. That's the first variation. So the second variation is black doesn't take the knight, but you shouldn't trade the bishop with the knight because the bed is open for black. So black uses the knight to take the white knight, and just like the last variation, it happens the same, right? Okay, so the second variation we have still bishop b5 and then castle, but this time black doesn't capture the free pawn, but does develop the pawn. So white use this, and as you can see, the variation is changing, right? The computer said this is advantageous for white, and white has a lead in development. Maybe in the low depth it's the same. The third variation we have, it doesn't develop the knights right away. Black develop the pawn. You can also use that variation from the second variation, and you see it's the same. It's the same variation. Okay. Let me check. No, not here. Yeah. Here. This variation where white has castle, black has developed the knights. It's the same. It's just the same variation without white castle, and that goes on. And here for black, if black hasn't developed the knight, black can use the Catalan on the left side, and here just develop the bishop to g7 is good. Okay, so now we will guide you through the best thing to do for black in real Lopez and or so-called Berlin variation. So the castle. Actually, if white doesn't castle, if white doesn't do as the pawn, you can go up the knight and immediately attack white's knight. So you will have a step ahead, and now white open the queen side, and now the bishop can go out. So that's an interesting variation, and immediately attack from queen side to the king side. Okay, so here, if a small variation, if white doesn't take the knight, so black will immediately let the queen out and pin the pawn, so the pawn can't take, right? There's a king there, and now if the white knight capture the pawn, it can go up the pawn and take the king. Okay, the third variation is that if white go up a pawn, and so you will immediately develop the bishop to c5, and then you can see here a lot of stuff going on. If take, you just take with the pawns, that's no problem. You open the g5. If go up the pawn, you will use the pawn to take the pawn on the d file. And here you can see black developed really good at a really high speed, and now black is really doing a great job at kicking the bishop out. Okay, the final variation I want to show you. I don't want to name this because I'm not really a master at the variation, but actually it is really good to know the name of the variation. So here, if you go out the pawn and black reply with capturing the pawn, you shouldn't capture back immediately, because attack the knight will go up the pawn with the tempo, and you will have the advantage here. So black has to withdraw the bishop in a way. So it is kind of passive now. The bishop is spinning the knight with king. So there you go. You've seen there's a small variation, the interesting variation, right? So we can see here. So I still do a kind of the last variation. Well, black immediately go up the knight instead of developing stuff. So I just defend like this. And now you attack the knight before you withdraw the bishop. You have a tempo in developing. And that's good for